Hi, Orange Girl here with another scrapbooking process video for you. I'm working with Flair from a Flair for Buttons. I'm also working with a cut file from the Cut Shop and Paige Taylor Evans' most recent collection called Truly Grateful. So what I've done ahead of time is I went ahead and I cut the good book, or curl up with a good book cut file and twice. So the first time I cut it just as is, and I used one of Paige's blue, kind of a navy blue with a little bit of a pattern paper, 12 by 12 paper. And then I cut it again, just the words good book for the inside part of good book. So that kind of just helps. I altered the file just a little bit. It helps it make it a little bit easier to back the files. So what I'm going to do next, as you can imagine, is I'm going to back the rest of the file. So I'm going to do the books and then move on to the rest. So I sped this up so that you wouldn't have to watch every single thing, and I cut some of it out too, because really all I'm doing is grabbing some pattern paper, getting it kind of close to about the right size, gluing it down, and then finishing off the trim. So these are little pieces. I think there's actually 5 in the cut file, but I just used 4 of them that go on the binding of the book. And then I have a photo that kind of looks like it's black and white, but it's actually not black and white. If you zoomed in, you would be able to see that the trying to think, like the clock, I think, that is on the end table, you can see is in color. But so my idea with this, the cut file is great and it's huge, and so I don't really need a ton of other things. But as usual, Paige has all of these wonderful florals and leaves, and so I thought I would just do a few clusters around the page. And then maybe layer some things behind my photo. So of course, as I'm filming, I run out of adhesive. Luckily, I had more right there, so it wasn't too difficult. But anyway, so I'm just gonna put my photo right there, and I will pop that photo up like I usually do with just a little bit of craft foam and a little bit of tissue behind my photo. And then I will add some layers of pattern paper as well. So what I'm thinking here is, as I'm looking for different layers, I want to incorporate many of the same colors at least, and maybe even the same pattern papers. Like this is on one of the books, for example, and I'm going to put that behind the photo as well. This is also in one of the books, and so I'm going to put that behind there. And I'm roughing up the edges a little bit. I'm tearing it. I want it to look a little bit messy because that's just my style. That's just the way I work. So I'm going to do that and add several layers behind my photo. I go through many different pieces of flair for this layout. I end up choosing 3 pieces that came from the same collection, which doesn't always happen with me. So all three pieces of flair that I use on this layout are from the same Flair set, and I can't remember the last time I did that. Usually I mix and match them, and it's not because I intentionally mismatch them, or mix and match. Oh my goodness. Mix and match them. It's not like ooh, I don't want to do it all from the same one. It's just that's usually how it turns out. They're so versatile and so many different nice sentiments. So these all come from one of the Lovely Words Flair sets. I think it's Lovely Words 9. And I will put that all in the, link it all below in the description of this video. So you will get to see those here in a minute. But they all had things that were like fly and love and I meant to fly and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes when I think about reading a book, you are put into a whole different world. And so through the reading. And so I thought that those pieces of flair really fit the idea of this story. So I am going to also put some journaling on the story. Journaling on the page. This is a story about my daughter reading the Harry Potter series. and how it's pretty magical because she's a very good reader, always has been a good reader. She can do the act of reading and understanding what she's reading very well. She doesn't enjoy reading like her father and I do. And maybe it's just an age thing. She's still pretty active and likes to play outside and would choose to, at 10, she would choose to be outside running around and playing basketball and football and climbing and doing all those sorts of things and riding her bike rather than reading. And so, which is great also, and it's just part of her. So when she found the Harry Potter series, her second grade teacher read, I think, the first 2 books to her class. And so as she got into that series, she read those, so then we watched the movies. So then she read the 3rd book and watched that movie, and she's on the 4th one now. And so this is just kind of we were at a hotel actually, so we were going to a concert, and so we were out of town, and she brought the book with her, and she was reading while we were we'd come back to the hotel, and we're kind of having some downtime. And I may have taken this picture. It also might have been her father that took the picture. I can't remember. We both did, so I don't remember which photo this is, but it was just so cute because she had just gotten out of the shower and her hair was wet and she's all snuggled up, curled up with a good book. So I thought that photo would match this cut file very well. And I like all of the girly, flowery pattern papers and things in this collection too, so I just really like it. So I started out thinking I was going to use some black and white pieces of Flair. And so I pulled some, like one of them has a beehive on it, and I thought that I liked it because her name is Bee, and one is just hashtag photo, and I just thought I would use those. But also I pulled out one that says, I think it's the one that says my heart was meant to fly, or my heart was made to fly, or something like that. And I ended up liking that one better. So then I went back to my stash of Flair, and I found some that matched with that a little bit better. So here's my journaling. My journaling says, the magic of the Harry Potter series continues to make moments like this possible. And then I have a hashtag on there. It says hashtag wizard. So here I am looking for other pieces of ephemera that match that one that says my heart was made to fly. And then when I pulled them out, they all ended up being from that Lovely Words collection. So I moved some of my clusters around. I knew I wanted a cluster on the upper left side of the photo. There was some, I could overlap the photo a little bit there. There wasn't anything in the photo. And I knew I wanted something down towards the bottom of the page, like by the K or something. But I ended up moving it up and covering up some of the word good book and some of the letters, and it doesn't matter because you can still read what it says, and I kind of like it better there. And then I also knew that I thought I would make that visual triangle and have some up in that space to the right of the cut file. So that's what I ended up doing. I kind of stuck to that. That was kind of my initial plan. When you use a giant cut file like this, one of the cool things about it, it's cool in some ways, is that the layout comes together fairly quickly because there's not a lot of space to work with, and so it made it a lot easier to make the design of the page go a little bit more quickly. So as usual, I'm adding some tangle thread. Her favorite color and mine is orange, and so I'm adding some orange because it matches with this collection as well in that orange book. It's kind of an orangish red, fall orange, because this was kind of the fall collection. And now I'm adding in a butterfly. I always put at least one butterfly on any of my layouts related to my daughter. And then I decided that I wanted to jazz up the edges a little bit. So as I have done often lately, I'm going to rip my paper. I was a little nervous because I really liked the way the layout was, and I'd already had everything glued down, so I couldn't, like if I messed up too horribly, that I would have to either start over, or I don't know what I would have done had I messed up. But it turned out that it worked out really well. So what I'm going to use is, I'm actually, what you're going to see, I think, is the branding strip that goes with the paper. I don't know. I think on one side it had the diagonal, multicolored diagonal. See the big thick book that has the multicolored diagonal lines on it? I think one side had that, and then the other side had this pretty little floral that has all these little tiny flowers on it. And so I'm using mostly the branding strip for this, and actually just part of it. You'll see I'll cut some of that off here in just a second. So I have used this branding strip up in the upper, kind of upper left, most of the top, but mostly the upper left. And then I'm going to add a little bit of that same branding strip down at the bottom. I decided it would look cute underneath the journaling. I usually like to house my journaling a little bit somehow, like make it so it has a bottom, or it has a home in some way. And I thought I hadn't really done that, and I thought this kind of helped make that happen. So I just had just enough of that left to add that in there. And then I think I'm pretty much finished here. Very little left. Oh, I walked away and I came back and I decided, I really want another little cluster down there. And so I ended up with 5 clusters. I work a lot with, that whole idea of the triangle, the visual triangle, which is great. But I also do odd numbers. And so with 4 of them on there, I didn't really like the 4 clusters. So I came back in and I added this 5th little cluster. And my visual triangle is the 3 lovely pieces of Flair. So there is the final product there. And here come some close-ups. And you can see the Flair. One of the reasons I like the Flair is because it does have, like, even though it's doesn't have flowers necessarily on it, it has the green that is kind of reminiscent of nature. So I really like that. So thanks a lot for stopping by, and I will see you in my next video.